come with me for a 3-night stay in Sirmione, Lake Garda in Italy. We decided to take one small cabin bag and 2 backpacks for our travels, and they're specifically designed to fit the requirements for Ryanair for our flight. I tried to pack as light as possible. I thought about just a couple of key pieces that we needed that were universal, that could mix and match, and made sure that we had all connecting cables and travel items that we needed. I also made sure that I had snacks for us, as well as my gluten-free snacks, so that I was not going to get stuck needing food. And as you can see, I managed to pack it really tightly within the 3 bags, and I probably could have got away with one less bag. I think we managed to keep items low. And thinking back onto what I've actually come back with, there are a couple of items that we could have done without, so that's worth noting for our next adventure. We arrived at our hotel in the early afternoon, so we were able to then wander around Sirmione and explore, and even got ourselves onto a little boat trip to have a look around the peninsula. Second day we took a bus trip to Verona and explored around there. We went to the arena and also to Juliet's balcony. 3, we went around Sirmione. We went to the Roman villa at the very end and also to the castle to explore. I thought it'd be really nice if I kind of broke down all the costs that I had for my trip and any kind of advice that I had from the travel. Obviously went with my son, who is a teenager, so that was relatively easy in that respect. I have been aboard before when he was 7 or 8 and done it on my own, and it was actually much more manageable than I thought it would be. I just don't feel like I should hold back from plans just because I'm on my own. I definitely feel like I'm quite an independent person and want to do things, and my mission this year was to kind of travel as much as I could and use any spare money that I had, that I'd saved from reducing down my other expenses. I was going to invest that in experiences, and so we are doing travel, we are doing theatre tickets, cinema tickets, like all kind of different experiences, so that we're really getting out and kind of making the most of things. But obviously for me, I have to manage things a lot more because I have chronic fatigue. I know that I can't do big trips, big excursions, and I have to manage rest periods within that trip. So this is kind of how I have made it manageable for me. For me, a week would be too much in a half term to be able to manage. So for me, we decided it would be better, well, I decided it would be better if it was 3 or 4 nights away, so I still had some of the week to kind of rest, recover, and get any work done that I needed ready for school next week. So let me run down our trip. We went from Sunday to Wednesday, so that was 3 nights this time. My next travel plans are usually 4 nights. So 3 was okay. We had 2 full days and a half day, and then the last day I would kind of write that off as just travel back. So let me run down the accommodation costs, the travel costs that we had, and kind of where we went and what we did. So we stayed at Hotel Aura on the peninsula in Sirmione on Lake Garda in Italy, and it was a really nice accommodation. Like, it had everything we needed. The breakfast was good, and they even had some gluten-free options.
They didn't have the gluten-free bread on the last day, but they did have some available for the rest of the days that we needed it for me, which was nice because that was unexpected. I wasn't expecting to be able to have an awful lot for breakfast. Usually it's fruit and yogurt. So it was nice to have some bread and to be able to toast it, etc. The bathroom was really quite small. Like you couldn't dry yourself in it, which was quite tight, and I'm a small person anyway, but it was still quite tight for me. But then I didn't pay an awful lot for the accommodation for 3 nights. I paid 170 for the 3 nights, and that was through booking.com, so all of my accommodation has been done through them. It meant that I get discounts now that I've used them quite a few times, so anytime I go away somewhere, I always book on there. And sometimes I will book and pay straight away, and sometimes I will book, if I think that it's a little bit pricey at the time, I will book with free cancellation so that I can keep an eye on the prices, and if they go down, then I will book somewhere else at a cheaper rate. That's usually what I do. This time I did book it straight away and paid for it because it was a really good deal. I thought £170 for 3 nights was really, really good and really fair. And I bought a lot of my flights in the January sales as well, so they were about 30–40 quid each. But obviously with certain airlines, so this time we flew with Ryanair, you do have to pay for so many extra things on top of the £30 flights. So I think the flights itself were meant to be like 35–40, something like that. But I wanted to make sure that I had one small cabin bag, and you can only have 2 rucksacks, like one rucksack per person as your basic. You don't get a cabin bag unless you pay extra. So I paid for one of us to be priority because that ended up being the better deal, so that I could have the cabin bag, which was fine. And that meant that it cost £221, so ended up being a little bit more because I paid for the priority on both flights, but not for both of us because it wasn't worth it. I knew we were only going 3 days. I just wanted one small bag to go with our backpacks. I also booked the car parking through the airport this time. Quite often I use a company that is right next to the airport, but their price was like a couple of quid more, and it was just as easy to book through the airport parking this time, and that cost £45. When we got there, we used public transport as much as possible. So we used the buses, we used the coaches, and we used the trains. So when we got there, it was a Sunday, so they had Sunday hours. So rather than waiting for the second, so we got one bus from the airport that took us to Brescia, and then from Brescia we got a train to de Garda, I think it's called, and then from there we got a taxi. I wasn't planning on doing that because I knew that a taxi would be expensive. A taxi was about €26. The train was really cheap. That was like probably like €2 each, and it was literally one stop ahead. They didn't even check tickets. We could have got away with not paying, but we did. The first bus that we got to Brescia from the airport was €12 each, and it was €12 back as well. If your child is under 12, then it's a bit cheaper. It's half the price. It's like €6 per child. So the transport is really cheap, and that was an hour bus to Brescia, and then it would have been an hour bus to Sirmione. I didn't want to wait for a couple of hours to get the bus because I knew there was going to be gaps, so we got the train and then we got the taxi. So we got there probably about 2:30, and that meant that we had all the afternoon and the evening to explore, as well as our 2 full days. And then when we came back, we got the 2 buses to come back. So it was a bus to Brescia and then a bus to the airport. So it was a 2-hour journey in total, but really cheap to do. Like the bus was like €5 each person, so it was really cheap. I couldn't work out their bus app, so I had to pay for it with cash on the bus, but really easy to do and so much cheaper than if I booked an airport transfer. So the airport transfer quote was €330, which I was not paying. So I definitely paid much less than that. I think overall I probably spent maybe €60 in total for all of the airport travel to and from, so not too bad. The second day we took a day trip to Verona because some of the stuff that we wanted to see in Sirmione, the castle and the Roman villa, were closed on the Monday, so that meant I was just like, right, let's see what we can do. And I knew that there was a bus that goes straight from Sirmione, the same one that took us from Brescia, it goes all the way to Verona. So we took an hour journey to Verona, and that was €490 each. Really cheap, and that was each way, so like €10 for a return, which I thought was really good considering you're on the bus for an hour. But it was so easy, it was just so much easy to do, and it was really enjoyable. And when we got to Verona, we went to look around the arena, and we looked at Juliet's balcony as well. So that was really cool, and we just had to wander the streets and just explored. I didn't plan too much with this trip. I did want it to be quite fluid and quite open, but one thing I will suggest is that on the day, make sure that you have booked a time for Juliet's balcony, because there is no easy ticket office to book through. They make you go to like another building to pay by cash. I wanted to pay by card, and you had to book it through their website to get the slot. But it was really cheap. It was €7, or just under €7, €6.90 maybe for an adult, and it was free for Noah to go in on that day. I don't know why. It may be always free for children, I'm not sure. Quite often it was free for children or cheap. So it just, they're really kind of accommodating with things like that, which I thought was brilliant, because you just don't get that in the UK. You always have to pay for children to go into places, even though they're not kind of benefiting necessarily all the time from the experience. But it was really good. So we paid like €10 to go into the arena, Noah was free, and we paid like under €7 for me to get in to Juliet's balcony, and Noah was free again. And there was lots to look at inside the building as well, Juliet's balcony. So there was kind of the bed from the film and things. So we got to look around that as well. And we kept food quite simple. We worked out that what we need to do in future, because we're quite early eaters and nowhere opens until 7, we worked out that actually we need to be lunchtime eaters and snacky stuff in the evening, just so that we don't have the pressure of trying to find somewhere to eat, which was a little bit challenging because I'm gluten free, but we did find some restaurants that were able to accommodate, which was good. Overall, our total spend money that I gave us for food and excursions and trips and stuff was £300. Within that €300, like 60 of that was on travel and for the airport and stuff, so that kind of came within it. So we didn't spend an awful lot. I'd say we probably spent about €250 roughly. And as far as like presents that we bought, like to ourselves or whatever, as like souvenirs, we didn't buy an awful lot. I bought Noah some kind of metal Jeep thing that he saw in the shop, because he's into kind of tanks and army stuff, so we got that. And then he got this kind of wallet that kind of pushes up the card that he saw. So I think I only spent probably about just under €40 for him on those 2 items, but they were things that he wanted. I wasn't willing to buy stuff that wasn't going to serve a purpose or wasn't going to kind of last. So I didn't want to buy any of the like magnets or anything like that, because we don't have a fridge that has an open door, so we can't use magnets. Didn't want any kind of like key ringy things, because we just don't need them and just don't use them. So for myself, I bought myself bags, because they're good quality when you go abroad to buy kind of bags. So I'll show you what I bought. I bought this one for €19. It's just a little bag, and this one I bought for €22. It's got like 3 zips, so 3 different compartments. And what I did do is, because the original like little side bag that I had got was quite damaged and broken, and all the seams had ripped inside and stuff, all the lining was damaged, I decided that that would be an item that I decluttered. So I actually left that there, and that was disposed of. And so I only essentially bought one new bag into my home, because I'd decluttered the other. It was just so damaged it needed to go in the bin. So yeah, everything that we bought was really intentional. We spent money on experiences. So we did a boat trip. On the first night we had a little boat trip around the peninsula, and we saw kind of around there, and the lighting was just beautiful. Like we were there just the sun was going down and it was really beautiful, lovely, and it was just nice and refreshing. Like the air was just lovely. It was just really nice to do. The second day we went to Verona, like I said, and the third day we went to the Roman villa and the castle, and that was really lovely as well, because that was the largest Roman villa in the north of Italy, so that was really good. So we wandered around that, and because of the time of year that we went, we were really lucky because actually it was really quiet. Like there wasn't many tourists around. There were people, like on the Sunday when we got there it was absolutely packed, but that's because it was all the Italians like with their families going out and exploring the peninsula, etc. So which was really nice. But it was so nice and quiet on the Monday and Tuesday. It just wasn't as busy. Like even in Verona it was nice and quiet, and the weather was lush. Like it was like thin coat weather. It was like 13-14 degrees. Like it was comfortable weather. We weren't too cold. We could have a coat on and just feel comfortable, and we didn't feel like we were freezing, and we weren't too hot. It was quite a nice time to travel to somewhere like that, and we didn't have to like queue anywhere really to do anything. So it was really straightforward and easy, so I'd highly recommend that. So yeah, I think looking at my budget, my kind of overall spend for the whole holiday, including the spend, the accommodation, the travel, the parking, and the like excursions and stuff, I think I spent about £750. So that's for 3 nights. So I don't think that's too bad. I mean, people may differ on that opinion, but for me it was about kind of experiencing things, kind of recharging my soul and just getting that kind of chill time. Like it did feel like a chilled holiday, even though we did lots of walking. There were also lots of rest periods, and there was also lots of opportunities to sit, there's opportunities to do things and just do it at our pace. We hadn't scheduled things in, we were kind of free-flowing the kind of experience and just exploring, and because we did it that way it didn't feel stressful. It felt really calm and really like exciting and adventurous, and like it didn't feel like it was onerous in any way. So that was really nice. So our next trip that we've got planned is Amsterdam, and then after that we've got Geneva, and then I need to plan the rest of them because I haven't finished planning. But yeah, that's my breakdown of our holiday. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up if you did, and let me know in the comments below if you kind of like this kind of content. I feel like YouTube is a way of me kind of doing the things that I enjoy and I love, so I just want to kind of share that with you, and as long as you're happy for me to share the things that I'm enjoying, then keep following, I guess, keep subscribing. And I shall be back for more videos on decluttering, minimalism and my no spend year very soon. Take care, bye.